Okay, the next sentence is my favorite, so I wanted to make sure I didn't get caught chopping it off in the middle. So Pater next says that he says you got to pay attention. He says if you don't pay attention, if you don't notice all of these things, not to discriminate here means notice details. So not to notice details, not to discriminate every moment, some passionate attitude in those about us, and in the very brilliancy of their gifts, some tragic dividing of forces on their ways is, on this short day of frost and sun, to sleep before evening. I'm going to read that sentence again because it's my very favorite. Not to discriminate, meaning if you don't notice, not to discriminate every moment, some passionate attitude in those about us, and in the very brilliancy of their gifts, some tragic dividing of forces on their ways, is, on this short day of frost and sun, to sleep before evening. If you go to sleep before the sun sets, you're missing out on everything. So he says not to notice all of these amazing things is, on this short day of frost and sun. Um, Frost is wintertime when the sun sets early, so life's already short to begin with. If you're also going to bed early, you're doubly missing out on things because the days aren't that long, and um, you're going to bed before so the sun sets early, and you're going to bed before sunset. You're missing everything. I'm reading it again because it's my favorite sentence, and I can read it as many times as I want to, and you can't stop me because you're not here. Not to discriminate every moment, some passionate attitude in those about us, and in the very brilliancy of their gifts, some tragic dividing of forces on their ways, is, on this short day of frost and sun, to sleep before evening. With this sense of the splendor of our experience, and of its awful brevity, gathering all we are into one desperate effort to see and touch, we shall hardly have time to make theories about the things we see and touch. So he says, like, we're trying to notice everything. We're not going to have time to come up with big philosophy theories. This is an interesting way to end the course because, of course, I've given you so many philosophers, but the last philosopher is against philosophy. He says, we don't need theories. He says, philosophy should help you notice things, but don't get hung up on theories too much. Okay. By the way, I think there's a this is the whole conclusion to the Renaissance. I think there's a new paragraph, and I feel like it may start right here. With this sense of splendor of our experience and of its awful brevity, right, when you realize life is so short, gathering all we are into one desperate effort to see and touch, we shall hardly have time to make theories about the things we see and touch. And here we go. This is the sentence that upset everybody. What we have to do is be forever curiously testing new opinions and courting new impressions, never acquiescing in a facile orthodoxy of Comte or of Hegel or of our own. You can tell Pater, I think, knew this was a crazy thing to say because he brought out his most difficult vocabulary for that sentence. He's saying something very dangerous, but he's hiding it so that most people are going to be like, I don't even know what this means, and he's probably happy they don't know what it means because it's fucking crazy. It's a very, very dangerous thing he's put here, and this is really the danger bit. Because thus far, I'm sure, I mean, you can see people were upset because he clearly doesn't believe in God or the soul or anything because he's saying nothing lasts and nothing is stable. And Christians would be like, the soul is stable, God is stable, Jesus is stable, and Pater doesn't believe in any of that stuff. But this sentence is the real danger. Now, he mentions Comte or Hegel. Don't worry about that. Comte and Hegel are philosophers. It doesn't matter. He's just using them as examples of philosophers anywhere. So you can stick any philosophers you know from this class into that sentence and it works the same. So just substitute Plato and Pope or whoever. You pick two philosophers, Derrida and, Sigmund Freud. Doesn't matter. The point is they're philosophers. So you can replace, his point is don't trust philosophers, and he just lists those two guys off as examples. Hegel, there's like four authors that are too difficult for me to read. Hegel is one of them. It's just like, I can't do it. Hegel, Heidegger, Lacan, there's somebody else. Anyway, Kant, Immanuel Kant. I can't understand any of those fuckers. That's why I stopped being a philosophy major because it's like, holy shit, can't follow any of this. Okay. So he says, here's the dangerous sentence. What we have to do is be forever curiously testing new opinions and courting new impressions. Well, that sounds nice, right? We got to test new opinions, court new impressions. Cool. Never acquiescing in a facile orthodoxy of Comte or Hegel or of our own. Never give in to the weak following of rules that philosophers put down. So he says we have to be for testing new opinions and courting new impressions. If life is so short and we want to notice everything, we got to try new things. And he says we should never acquiesce in the facile orthodoxy of Comte or Hegel. So we have to always be trying new things, forever testing new opinions and courting new impressions. We got to try new things. And don't acquiesce in the facile orthodoxy of Comte or Hegel, meaning don't give in to following rules made up by somebody else. This is now again, that probably doesn't sound super radical yet, but it is insanely radical. Pater says we have to constantly be we have to constantly try new things, and we can't give in to the easy thing, which is following rules made up by other people. Now, honestly, that sounds like regular American life to me. Like that's, don't be a follower, be a leader, do your own thing, try new stuff. Pretty simple advice. Doesn't seem upsetting. Let me show you the fucking upsetting part that made everybody lose their goddamn mind. I stopped the sentence early. We didn't actually get to the end of the sentence. What we have to do, he says, is be forever curiously testing new opinions and courting new impressions, never acquiescing into the facile orthodoxy of Comte or of Hegel or of our own. And that is where shit gets fucking dangerous. So he says you got to try new things and don't follow the rules made up by this philosopher or that philosopher. Sounds perfectly nice. But he says you also need to try new things and not follow other people's rules and also not follow your own. That is disturbing. It is not what we say in America. In America, we say be true to yourself, which comes from Hamlet, although it comes from Polonius, and Polonius is an idiot. Maybe that's wrong. Pater's point is that you can't give in and just follow the rules. You got to try new ideas and new sensations. Now, on the one hand, it seems sort of nice because what Pater's really saying is go to art museums and try new paintings. And if somebody tells you that painting's not very good, maybe you don't believe them and just make your own opinion up. Sounds perfectly reasonable so far because he doesn't want you taking rules from other people. He wants you to try new things and don't follow the rules. The dangerous part is what he doesn't say. I think what he thinks you should do is go to art museums and notice beautiful art. And if some philosopher says that art isn't good for some reason, like many of the philosophers we looked at this semester had strong opinions on what's good art and bad art, he says don't listen to those philosophers. You just notice for yourself. But two things make this dangerous. Number one, he says don't follow your own rules. So if you have an idea about what makes good art and bad art, you got to throw that out too, because your ideas about what makes good and bad are hindering you from noticing other things. This is usually we say be true to yourself, follow yourself, you have a sense of self in here. But remember, Pater thinks yourself is just this dissolving, unweaving mess and shouldn't be trusted. So he says don't follow your own rules. And the other question, and I think he's thinking of paintings because it's a book about paintings. So he's thinking, look at all the paintings and don't follow other people's rules about what makes a good painting or a bad painting. But then he adds, don't follow your own rules about what makes a good or a bad painting. You have to try to see things from multiple perspectives, which means even breaking your own rules and looking at paintings you normally wouldn't look at. But he doesn't say paintings. He says court new opinions, meaning new ideas, and new impressions, meaning new sensations. Well, I think he's thinking of painting, but it sounds a little bit like he's saying if you're Muslim or Jewish, you should eat pork. If you're straight, you should try being gay. If you think eating human beings for dinner is wrong, maybe give it a shot. He's not actually saying that. And I'm certainly not telling you to do that. But the point is he said everything is unstable and nothing can be relied upon. And you have to try new stuff and don't follow other people's rules and don't follow your own. Well, where does it stop? Most people consider their sexuality to be like a set part of their identity. They are a straight person or whatever. And he's like, no, don't follow your own rules. It could be preventing you from enjoying something nice. This is not how people live their lives in 1870 England, but it's also not how people live their lives today. We tell people you gotta, be true to yourself. And Pater's like, no, you made up a bunch of rules and they're preventing you from enjoying life. So break them all. And then where does that end? Are you think about this? This is the kind of thing that leads to serial killers who kill people for fun. Aren't the serial killers ignoring the rules and doing things that they enjoy for new, interesting sensations? This is a dangerous fucking idea, but it is Pater's idea, and it is fascinating. And by the way, I don't think you should eat people or kill anybody. But My point is that Pater he has a conclusion. He's headed somewhere, and we'll talk about it in the next video. But just to be clear, don't eat anybody. Don't kill people. Okay.